heart is a blue. Shoots up through the stony ground. There's no room, no space to rent in this town. You're out of luck, and the reason that you had to care, the traffic is stuck. And you're not really anywhere. You thought you found a friend to take you out of this place, so you can live ahead. Return for grace. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. You got no destination in the mind. In the maze of imagination, you don't feel the style. Even if that doesn't make true, you've been all over, and it's been all over you. It's a beautiful day.
Good morning, everybody. It's great to see all of you. So today our content is quite technical. So I don't want to spend any time with the countdown clock. We're going to dive right in, and then we might have a couple stragglers join in afterwards, but hopefully not, because today's lesson is going to build on itself. So before we dive in, I want to check with all of you and see how things have been going. Share with me your wins, anything you want to share with the group. I know we have one office that just did their ladies' night, which was a lesson we did several months back, I think back in 2021 for external events. Maybe it was the beginning of this year. So they actually did it. They've been planning it. They implemented it. It looks like it was a huge success. So if that's something you're interested in, go back, see the rewatches. Remember, you have access to a whole quarter of videos, so everything from this last quarter. And then this month was all about mastering the tour as well. So have you actually been doing it? Did you go on the Facebook group? Did you print out the tour verbatim that I've gifted you? Have you been practicing? Is your tour like spot on, where everyone that comes in has this extraordinary experience and really a transformational experience that prepares them for the doctor? So go ahead and jump in and share with me, what are your wins? What are you celebrating this week? And who wants to go first? Just whoever wants to, take yourself off mute and jump in and share. And we have some new members this week too, so think value as well. What value can you add to members here?
I'll talk. We had our ladies' night last week, and we thought it went awesome. We had a really good turnout. Our parking lot was full. We had cars all the way out to the highway. It was pretty cool. We had gotten a couple new patients already from it. And just kind of hoping, we did all local women, local businesses in town. And so hopefully they'll get some business from it as well. Some of them were actually some of our patients that had these businesses. So it was just really cool. It was a really fun experience. So we look forward to doing something like that again.
It was gorgeous. I saw your pictures, like mind-blowingly gorgeous. You guys did a really great job. Yeah. So
the setting here is perfect. It's a log cabin. So we could just really make it fancy. So
that's fantastic. So what they did is they created an external event. If you want to do this, go back, see the rewatch, an external event that created strategic partnerships, power partners, within the community of other business owners that are under the wellness umbrella, who they now have this lasting cross referral relationship with. So that alone is super powerful and really priceless. And to be able to get multiple relationships like that in one night, one event, is golden, because those can take years to build. Additionally, they had a new patient offer and people came in. So now, like she said, they already have some new patients, a handful of new patients from it. Plus, it's like a great way for your current community of patients to see your place as a place of health and wellness and with resources and build community. So it's this multi-purpose event. When you do an in-office event, we want to make sure it's hitting all these different targets. We want to make sure you're getting power partners from it. We want to make sure you're getting new patients from it, right? And creating community and honoring and serving and loving your patients all in one event. Because sometimes I'll see people do like a patient appreciation or a VIP party, but there's no like outcome from it other than that was fun. So as might as well leverage the time, leverage your resources, and find a way to build something really extraordinary. So we did a whole month on this. I'll call it external events. If you have any questions as you're building these, now is a really good time coming into the summer, because I know a lot of your patients travel. So it'd be really good to build momentum and get a lot of new patients coming in. Also, you could frame it either way. Like I have a lot of people that are like, patients travel during the summer, so our numbers go down. Like I'll have doctors call me and say that. Like, well, if you think about it, people are out of school. So like how could you leverage that? This is the best time to grow your practice, especially if you're serving families, right? All those kids could come in and like, yeah, you'll modify and work around their travel schedule. But really, summer should be and could be a huge time of growth, especially those of you that see families, because they now have more time available. Super cool. Okay, let's hear from one or two more teams who's dying to share.
I guess I can go. So this was like a small win, but we do our networking meetings, me and Kilby, on days that we don't open until later. And last week, whenever I left, I had went on a one-on-one with a life coach, a local life coach here, who is starting her own as well. So we're planning on, I'm coming up with some ideas to kind of do a group, like, so we could do a health talk. So Dr. Kilby could be there with other local business owners who are up and coming, maybe making new businesses and stuff like that. So hopefully that'll happen within the next few weeks. I know she has to travel a lot, but we had a really good conversation and just talking about that. She was very interested. And so she was like, I think you guys should definitely get, your health talk out there, and this would be the perfect opportunity. So it's in the works, but it's a little win.
That is so cool. That's amazing. And what a cool strategic partnership. Like I would never think to bring in a life coach. Like that's a really good idea. And you could even eventually, like she could give talks or workshops at your office location too on mindset that would benefit your patients, and then you can promote those for her, help her build her business. She helps you build yours. It's pretty exciting because your patients might bring their friends, to a workshop that's about mindset or coaching, but they might not bring them to a workshop about chiropractic, so like that could be an opportunity to get in any of your patients' friends that have not come in for your existing things to do different types of events in your office. And then they're there and you're like, hey, can I give you a tour of our office while you're here, to the friends, and show them around. So it's really a win-win. Super cool. Wow, it's a big marketing month for you guys. Anybody else have something you want to share?
We've had a little win, I guess, so far. We've been doing like a spring into wellness gift basket that we put like a massager in and a couple different things, and like a 30-minute massage with our massage therapist. And so we encouraged our patients to leave us Google reviews. And if they did that, we'd enter them in to win that. So we've actually got a couple reviews from that. So it's been working.
That's awesome. Very, very cool. Oh, I thought your team member was saying something, but I think that was from a different office. Very cool. So just remembering to do that. And then the key with that, Marissa, is going to be to make sure that you keep the momentum going. So just like you're asking people for reviews, right? It's not about getting the gift. It's about sharing their experience, helping and serving more people. And then, oh yeah, and we have this gift, But just like you've put that in your system, like look at the momentum you've built in asking people for reviews. So make that a regular thing, whether it's like 1 week a month, you focus on that, or every Tuesday, whatever it is, put it on your calendar and you guys can, how to do it now, like how to create reviews. So just schedule it in, or like every re-exam, every positive re-exam, we have them do a review right after. So that's really key because I think what will happen is we'll build momentum in one area and do really good, and then like move to something else and then forget, and then that area goes down. So maintain consistency is all about actually scheduling it on your calendar, which will be part of our bonus session this month. Thanks for sharing. That's awesome. Anyone else have something you want to share? Nope. Okay, let's dive in. So today's a really exciting topic. It's super technical. So for those of you that are brand new here live, I think we have Maria, and then we have people on the rewatch that are going to be brand new. Welcome. We're glad you're here. This month was all about the office tour. So go back and see the rewatches, and you'll actually get to see like multiple role plays of the tour. Go in the Facebook group. You can have the script, my tour script, with every single point, the intention behind it. So make sure you have those solid. For today, I wanted to do something special for you guys and focus on all the nonverbal communication, because this is an area that I'm particularly passionate about and have spent, like over a decade now studying this. I've had the opportunity to train with some incredible experts. I even got to train with a woman who is the leading expert. She's retired now, but she was the leading expert in the FBI for body language and communication. So she was the one they'd come in if they were doing like an interrogation kind of thing, come in and ask someone questions and be able to read their body language, and to like the craziest extent. Like she would see, a nerve flicker in their ankle, and know that they were lying. Like these teeny little details. Like she was obviously far more of an expert than I was, but she taught me some really basic things that I find extremely interesting that I'd love to share with you guys today. And why are we doing this? Because let me ask you this. Have you ever met someone and just for some reason you like them? Like there's an instant connection and you're just like, for some reason, like I feel like I know you. There's this connection. Has anyone had that experience? Yes. Okay. Or have you ever met someone and like right away you kind of don't like them? Like they're annoying or creepy. Has anyone had that experience besides me? Totally. So what I didn't know before doing some of the trainings I've done, what you might not know, is that feeling that you have, there are very specific patterns in human behavior and nonverbal communication that create those feelings. So if you understand the patterns, you can create them for yourself and others. So before I dive too far into this, I always want to ask in trainings, for everybody's like sworn promise to use these skill sets that you're about to learn, like from a place of complete love and integrity. Because if you're using it for love and integrity, you can help really expedite the process for people and simmer down their fears and expedite the healing process. These are not things that you could use or should use to like go pick up people on Saturday night or anything like that. So raise your hand. I need everybody's sworn promise that we will use everything we learn. I seriously need to wait till everyone's hand is up. With complete love and empathy and integrity. Okay, perfect. I knew you guys would be good at that. Okay, so because that's really important. The more you learn about building rapport and body language, the more influential you'll naturally become. So it's important that the intention behind it is right. So one quote that I really love is the difference between influence and manipulation is intention. And that's so important in healthcare. It's so important in what we all do, right? If your intention is build collections, get more numbers, bonus, build practice, like that's all good and you'll probably do it, right? But then you're going to lean toward moving from a place of manipulation. Versus if truly from your heart and soul, you're like, I'm in this to help people, which I know all of you are. More numbers, more collections means that we're changing more lives. We're impacting humanity. We're impacting this generation. Future generations are going to be stronger because of what we do. When you're moving from that place, you become an influential leader. And so that has to be the reference point when you start team meetings, team huddles, goal setting. Like the reference point has to start with intention, and then we build from there. So I'm actually going to have you guys each write down just quickly, like one bullet point or multiple if they come to you, like your intention behind your role there, your highest intention. Like if you're really going to your highest intention and working there, like, yes, of course, it's going to be provide for your family, make money, it's fun. Like all of that stuff is great. We're going to go to your very, very highest intention where it's about other people loving and serving. And it doesn't even have to be a passion for chiropractic. It could be a passion for your family to love and serve and provide for your family. You know what I mean? So like, what's your highest intention for being there? Go ahead and write that down. And then if you have others in your office with you currently, feel free to just shout it out when you're writing it or kind of share with your team members there in the room. Hannah, did you write yours already? Will you share with us? You were so fast, I'm just dying to know because you knew it right away.
Oh, mine? Oh, I wasn't sure. I can go ahead. So I wrote down that my intention is to uplift each person who comes in here. And I guess I just think it's like emotional and mental as well as physical and health. They go together to like improve people's lives.
Totally. Thanks for sharing. Do you want to share, Deanne?
Yeah, I can go ahead. So my intention is serving my purpose to influence the truth about health and what that actually means. Because I know right now a lot of people have that distorted.
That's
Sorry,
really deep.
I'm awful.
So good. Thanks for sharing. Okay, let's hear from one more person. Who else has finished writing and wants to share? Kelsey, do you want to share? Or Amber?
Yeah, I can
Marie?
share.
Okay.
I said, make people feel cared for, understood, and like they have a support system in living a healthier and happier life.
Nice. Awesome. Very cool. I love these. And guys, if you were starting out, because I know that we have a lot of new CAs on the rewatch, a couple here. I remember when I started, like, no joke, my intention was like to make Dr. Nona happy, like, to do it the way she said. It's like, that is totally fine. Like when you start to see like more people's lives change, that's when that's going to grow, like that fire, that conviction. You see the difference you're making, the impact you're making. So like it could be really to just love and support my doctor and like help them be the best they could be because it looks like they're doing something really great for people. You know what I mean? Like that could be your intention. Okay, cool. I'd love to hear the rest. Share them in the group if you want to throw them in a comment on the Facebook group. I would love, love, love that. Anybody, all of you, if you want to share these bullet points in the group. But for the sake of time, we're going to dive into our nonverbal communication or body talk, as I would call it. So there's a lot of this that we already talk about and like teach throughout. So just going through the tour alone, the video that we showed, there's a couple key points I'm just going to point out and then we'll dig into the next lesson. So in the tour, we talked about congruent body language. So your body language is always aligning with the words that you're saying and the feeling that you're creating. And if you don't feel congruent with what you're saying or in your subconscious, your body language is so strong, like you can't fake this. Your body language will contradict it. if you're like, we're very unique and different, or we're amazing, like, but you don't truly like feel that and believe it, your body language will contradict it. Yeah, something as obvious as a head nod, you can force yourself to nod yes, whether or not you feel aligned with that, but something in your body will react. Your neurology, your fingers will be going like this, or your foot will be wiggling, you know what I mean? So what's really cool about this is like such a primal thing. So our body language, like we can read it on each other even without the skill set. And that's where we get like those feelings or those vibes, you know what I mean? So what that means is people can really pick up on what you're putting down regardless of what you're saying. You know, so that's why being congruent across the board is really important, and just being super honest. So I remember, like, for instance, Mariah and I were training once on how to bring a patient through a financial. That's her job in the office. And she was like, you know, I feel, this was a long time ago. She's an expert ninja now. But she said something along the lines of, you know, I feel like I'm brand new at this, and like, I don't even know if I'm following the right steps, something like that along those lines. And it was so powerful the way she said it. She's because she followed up with, you know, all I know is that this is going to better the person's life. Like, all I know is that this works and I want to help them get there, you know, but I'm still learning the steps. And she had a financial like that night. And I told her, I was like, say that. Like, that was perfect, because you could see her heart, you know, and her conviction, and you can feel it. And of course, she did bring them through that, and it was a successful experience, because like what she felt was so much more powerful than the words she was saying or following the steps. Right? Does that make sense? Did I butcher that, Mariah? Do you have anything you want to add to that conversation?
No, that was
I
completely
was
true.
trying to remember. Yeah, the exact story. So one way we can do this, like, be it till we see it, right, is just being really conscious of your own body language and making sure you're really congruent. So nodding yes, you know, I always have palms up because it's welcoming and open if I'm showing someone around. If my palms are down or on my side or my hip, it sends a non-verbal message like that I'm closed off. And then the more aware we become of it in ourselves, the more we're going to pick up and recognize it with people. Like, they might be saying one thing, but remember, your words are only 7% of all communication. So they might be saying something, but their body and everything else might be telling you different. They might be saying, like, I'm good enough, I'm amazing, I'm extraordinary. We've all met that guy, right? That, like, or that girl that like totally brags about themselves and sings their praises, but you could tell like they have such low self-esteem, you know, and it's like these words are not aligned with your overall body language, right? And what you're showing me. So congruent body language is number one. The other thing that we're going to look for is there's a whole, I thought about doing the handshake training today, but then I decided not to. But there's a whole psychology behind handshakes as well, and the way that we shake hands and what it means and what it sends to your subconscious mind. And so one of my favorite things is to watch like politicians shake hands. So you'll notice a lot of different things. So if you watch people shake hands, like there's quite a few different kinds of shakes and signature shakes. Like, watch presidents shake. Go back and watch Trump shake hands. You know, and like watch, he puts his hand like kind of on the shoulder. My favorite is a handshake from between Trump and Obama. Like, watch the power control in their shakes with this finger. So wherever this finger is pointed, the person pointing this finger is like in control or trying to be in control. So if you ever shook someone's hand and they're kind of like point out this finger, that's going to be a more controlling, dominant person. And it always checks out. It's the weirdest thing, but the psychology behind handshakes, like, it always checks out. So that's why I teach, like, in the tour that you do the palm up, because it's like the hug of the handshake. It's very welcoming. And then they put their hand on yours, like palm up to shake hands, like not all the way like a plate, you know, but just slightly up. And then you hug their hand and shake it like from a place of love, because they're going to feel that is very welcoming versus like a controlling one. And then also, we won't go too deep, but there's also psychology behind the amount of shakes, like people that do 2 versus 3. It's really cool if you are ever interested in learning more. But my favorite is just a nice like 3 shake, palm up, hug the hand type of shake is super welcoming. Okay, then there's eye patterns, which we might do this as a bonus session if we have enough people in the group that want it. But there's different regions of the brain that you access depending on where you're looking in your eye patterns. And like you can read people's eye patterns as well. There's also tonality. So tonality comes across not just in your voice, that's 38% of communication. So that's not just like your tone in your voice, but it's also going to show up everywhere else in your face. So I've talked about this a little bit with some of you, but there's a training we do, like those of you that come to our immersions or our live experiences, sometimes we do these trainings where we actually get up in pairs and read each other's tonality and their body language. And one of my favorite ones, you can actually do this with your team members as a team building. I'll give you the steps. One of my favorite ones is you pick someone to volunteer. They look straight at you. You ask them to keep a fairly neutral face and ask them to just think about someone that they absolutely love and adore. And you watch their, let's do it. Can I get a volunteer? I think we can do it on Zoom. I've never tried. It'll just take a couple minutes. Who wants to volunteer? It's literally like the easiest volunteer job. Okay, perfect, David. Can everyone see David pretty well? Turn your brightness up. So let's do this because this is going to help train our body language reading and rapport building muscle. Okay, so everyone make sure you can see David and watch his face. So David, throughout the exercise, we are going to have you do your best to keep a fairly neutral look, as in like don't do an extreme smile or a laugh. I mean, a little bit of movement will happen, but do your best to stay like fairly neutral. Does that sound good? Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. Don't look at David yet, but we're gonna have him think of somebody that he absolutely loves. And we're gonna recognize any little subtle shifts in his face. And then we're gonna have him think of somebody that he hates. Now, David, if you don't have someone you necessarily hate, what you could do is you could pick like someone throughout history that you could kind of feel negative feelings toward, like Hitler, for instance. Most people aren't a fan. So someone that you can think of. Is there someone? Just give us raise your hand if there's like someone you can think of that you feel love towards, someone you can think of that you feel dislike, hate. Okay, perfect. He's like, oh yeah, I got this. Okay, so what you're going to look for is the shifts in his face, and we're going to go back and forth, and notice the patterns that you see for the person that he loves versus the person that he doesn't. Then the last time we're going to ask him to trick us and think of one of them and not tell us, and we're going to guess. And my guess is that all of you, or at least 90% of the room, will be able to recognize who he's thinking about. You guys ready? Okay, so we're all gonna be little human lie detectors here. Okay, so David, go ahead and get to your neutral face, kind of clear your mind, relax, totally relax. You could even do like palms up, open your eyes when you're ready, and think of the person that you love. It has to be the same person every time. The person that you love, who are you gonna focus on? Someone that you absolutely love and adore, and imagine them so clearly that it's almost like they were right in front of you. See that person, feel the feeling that you feel when you're around them. Imagine this person that you love and adore. What do they smell like? What do they look like? What do they feel like? Still focus on them. Okay, cool. Okay, shake it out for us, shake it out. And guys, take notes. What did you notice? Write them down. What little subtle things did you notice? Take notes. Okay, so shake it out. Promise I won't keep you there too long. This one will be shorter, but think of the person that, and then remember, each time we do this, you have to think of the same love person, the same dislike or hate person. So think of the person that you dislike. And imagine them so clearly that it's like they were there in front of you. What do they look like? What do they feel like? What do they sound like? What do they smell like? To the best that you can, imagine that they're actually right there. Okay. Keep focusing on them for like 3 more seconds. Okay, now shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. Oh, rainbows, butterflies, unicorns. Shake it out. Okay, cool. So who's noticed different shifts? Who wrote down things for love and hate? Raise your hand. You guys writing these things down? Okay, cool. Now let's go back to neutral. Let's go back to neutral and go back to the person that you love and adore. Relax and think of that person so clearly as if they were in front of you. What do they look like? What do they feel like? What do they smell like? Okay, cool. Now shake it out, shake it out. Do you have a, David, do you have like a light near you or above you? Can we make it a little brighter for the last round?
Better or worse with the glare?
What do you guys think? Thumbs up if it's better, thumbs down if it's worse. Thumbs up if you like it. Can you see him better? I think it works. I think it's better. Let's keep it.
Okay,
Uh,
not worse.
Okay, perfect. All right. Okay, so one more round. Are you guys ready? Make sure you get something written down under each category. Okay, we're gonna do love again. Love, relax, the person you love and care about. Oh my God, the light is so much better. Did anyone just notice like 40 more things? Okay, someone you love and care about and appreciate. They're there in front of you. You see them so clearly. Imagine what they look like and feel like, sound like, maybe their laugh even. Okay, cool. Now shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. Do you smell popcorn? No? Okay, cool. Okay, now go to the person that you dislike. Everybody look at David's face. Take notes. Okay, oh, he's there. We don't even have to ask him to imagine them. Okay, cool. Shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. Okay, from the group, I want to hear what you guys noticed. Let's hear from 2 people. Whoever wrote stuff down, take yourself off mute, share what you noticed. I saw you all writing.
When you talked about someone that you loved, I think he looked a little more calm and content.
How'd you know that though? How'd you know? What do you see? What shifts?
There was just a little more relaxed.
Yeah.
But that could just be me.
Like, how do you know though? That part's really important. How'd you know? Because you're still describing the feeling. How'd you know he was more relaxed? Were his shoulders down? Was he breathing slower?
Shoulders down. When somebody is happy, I feel like they're a lot more, or when they're talking about someone they love, they're a lot more calm and trust. Like their body language almost sort of shows like a trustworthiness feeling, I guess. I can't really explain.
Yeah, but you're still describing feeling. You're still describing feeling. Okay, so that's going to be kind of your homework when other people share. Go to specific measurable things because we're looking for patterns, right, that you can pick up because the feeling is subconscious, right? But once you understand the patterns, then it's like bam, 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 like you see it in people. It's super powerful. So work on the patterns, like how do you know these things? Okay, cool. Let's hear from one other person. Do you guys like this? This is fun. It's a little bit different than what we normally do. Okay. Let's hear from someone else. Maria.
I can share. I don't know if I'm going to do any better as far as like actual things, but I definitely noticed like what Mariah said, like more calm. And I think it's because like I could visually see like your face becoming less tense, you know, like more soft, and kind of like, I'm trying to think, your eyes almost looked brighter and like blinked a little bit more. Kind of like you were just like relaxed and like just like, I don't know, not thinking too hard about, I don't know, just when people are upset, they're more tense. And so they're more like, I don't know. So then that kind of bleeds into like the hate. I could kind of see, definitely eyes were not as bright, like they looked more dull almost, and more tense, like your face looked more tense and less relaxed. So those were the main things I noticed.
Those are really, really good. And your body is actually responding. So like when she says his eyes look brighter, not only were the whites of his eyes whiter, because when you think of something like your eyes will produce more liquid, I forgot what it's called, but which makes them brighter, right? Versus someone you hate, it like dries up, they'll droop a little more. And then when he loved someone, this skin actually will tighten up. And so you notice like his eyes were bigger, right? When he was thinking about the person that he loved. So all these little things that we're picking up on are actually movement in his, and this is a good time for me to say, unfortunately, most of these traits are specific to each person, which is why to get a read on someone, an accurate read on someone, you have to interact with them specifically, you know. And that's why like anytime you see in movies and stuff, when people are getting a read, they ask like general questions like, what's your name? Who's your, you know, what street do you live on? Right? To be able to get the read of like, what do they look like? What do they sound like? And these are the types of things someone that's trained is looking for. So I just thought it would be kind of fun to go into and really learn this deeper level of communication. Super cool, good insights. Let's hear from one more person. Anyone else? Nope. Okay. So now what we're going to do, David, now that we have our notes, I want to just share a few things that I noticed to point out to you guys as well. So one is the tempo of breathing, because we're looking at tone. So Mariah noticed that right away. David was a rather challenging person. Like, I'm glad we picked him because he has a really good poker face. He'd be good at poker. There wasn't a ton of movement, but you did notice in his breathing, it was almost like as much air as he was letting into his lungs. The breathing was slightly more relaxed and deeper with the person that he loved versus the person that he didn't. I should almost have you plug your ears, David, when you hear this, because now you're going to be conscious of it. Try to like just really like be a puppet, for lack of a better term, when I have you think of someone and not tell us. Like, just genuinely think of them. Don't think of your own body language. I know you can handle that. Like, being able to switch from like, I'm learning this lesson, okay, now I'm the person. Like, if we were doing this real setting, we wouldn't tell the person what we were doing. But David's a pro, he can handle it. Okay, so you're looking for expansion. So one of the ways I can almost instantly tell if it's romantic love or non-romantic love is by lips. And this is pretty common across the board. If they're thinking of romantic love, you'll actually see more like collagen, I'm not really sure what it is, go to their lips. You'll see of them expand. So you'll see less lip creases. So like here, I have actually pretty good lips for this. I'm going to think of somebody that I love non-romantically, and then I'll think of someone I love romantically and watch the difference. Okay, first one is non-romantic. Okay, second one is, I wouldn't say romantic, but maybe crush. Okay, I can't help but smile, but did you, wait, let me get there a little more. Did you see a difference in the lip creases? Totally, right? Isn't that trippy? I think it's so cool. So our bodies are always talking, like our bodies are always talking to each other. So, okay, now for David, some other things that we saw was he did like some crazy eye blinking stuff. And it seemed like a different tempo, like he was blinking a lot for both of them, but a different tempo for the person that he loved versus the person that he disliked or hated, right? Same thing with like little mouth twitches. And then here was like a big tell for him is like the expansion here versus not. Okay, so now we're all gonna look at David one more time. And David, you pick either person, same 2 people that we've been working with, either person to focus on them. So first, like shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. Pick one, and then we're gonna have everybody guess. Okay, so pick one. Relax and focus on either the love or the hate. Stick with one and really focus on them. Feel that person as if they were right there in front of you. If you could see them. Keep focusing on them. Okay, now come out of it, shake it out, think of something else, maybe what you're gonna have for lunch. Okay, cool. So if we're gonna test ourselves, and David will tell us, if you think it was the person he loves, you're gonna give thumbs ups really clearly. If you think it was the person he hates or dislikes, thumbs down, and then we're gonna count it up. So everybody do your thumb, it's the final voting time. Some of us will be wrong, that's fine. Thumbs up or thumbs down, and then I'm gonna count. Don't look at what other people are doing, just do what you're thinking. Okay, wait, let me count. Keep yours up. I gotta count, keep it up. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 thumbs downs and 4 thumbs ups. Is that right? Oh my gosh. Okay, David, tell us. It's the moment.
I was thinking of somebody I love.
Somebody you love. Ah, yeah. Good job. I have to say you're a particularly challenging person to read. And also it's a little bit harder on Zoom. But the point of this exercise was just to build awareness of the subtle differences and to bring us back into present time consciousness with the person in front of us. Because I think the last several years with everything that's happened with COVID, people have kind of lost the ability to connect at the same level. You know, even just really making eye contact, really looking at somebody and connecting with them. So becoming aware of these things is going to bring you back into rapport and connection with people. Show of hands, who liked this? Give me thumbs up if you liked it. Maybe like neutral if you could care less. Thumbs down if you were like, this sucked, I don't want to do these kinds of exercises. Up, neutral, or less, because that's how I'll base other lessons. Okay, cool. Sounds good. I think we had mostly, did we have any thumbs downs? No? Okay, cool. It's fun, right? So now we're gonna go into, now that we've talked about body language and rapport, this is just the face, not even the whole body. But what you'll do is you'll make sure when you're communicating with patients that your body language is very congruent. It's very confident, right? Your feet are grounded. You're not wobbly. You're not slanting one way. You have really good eye contact. Your eyes aren't shifty all around so that you can really show this. Now, we're going to talk about rapport now. So make sure to write these down. I know today's kind of technical, like these little details. There are 4 indicators of rapport. And rapport to me is all about body language because again, only 8% of all communication is verbal, right? 55% is body language, 38% is tonality. And remember, tonality is not just the sound. A lot of it is like what we just did. Like that was a tonality exercise. So that was on the 38%. Here, this is going to be a little bit more of the 55%, but it's going to cover everything. So the 4 indicators of rapport, I have some notes here I'm going to read directly to you. The first one, and you may have heard of these modes of communication before, but we're going to look at them in a different way. So the first one is kinesthetic. So that's the internal feeling. Obviously our Mariah here was strongly kinesthetic. I was like, no, not what you feel, but what do you see? The internal feeling, You might experience a feeling of warmth, usually along the midline of the torso. Some people describe the feeling as like butterflies, right? Now, we all have all four, but we typically have primary ways that we communicate. Visual is going to be like color shifts. There might be a change in color for both people. When you have rapport, like you might both have a little color shift. Usually from the neck up, you'll feel yourself first and then notice it in the other person. So you'll feel yourself shift color and then you might notice in the other person when you're in rapport. It is typically a shift from light to dark. Okay, then there's auditory. They might say something to indicate that you are in rapport. So something like, do I know you? Have we met before? I feel like we've known each other forever, right? That's an auditory indicator of rapport. And then auditory digital is the last one. And that is leading. Rapport is a state of responsiveness, i.e. both people responding to each other. The sure indicator is when they begin to follow you. This part's really important. Test by shifting your positions or picking up a glass of water and seeing if you're in rapport. So this is really cool. When you've done a great job building rapport, then you can switch to pacing and leading. So the first step to building rapport is going to be mirror and matching. So remember how a couple of weeks ago we talked about if someone's like super high energy and you're like mellow, yoga, slow talker, low energy, and they come in and you're giving them a tour, but you're like low energy, you're going to tank their energy. Like they're going to feel that shift. Same thing the other way around. If you have someone that's like a little more mellow or mild, lower energy in their communication and you're like super outgoing and really bubbly, they're going to just be like, what's up with this chick? She's crazy. And it's going to be super uncomfortable. So you always want to get closer to meeting people where they're at. Now, I do want to have like a little more energy than them because my goal is to bring them into this health environment, right? So I'm going to have a little bit more, but make sure the gap isn't too big. You're going to meet them fairly where they're at. And then you build up and build up and build up to bring them toward where you are. So noticing like their energy levels in that rapport building, you're a little higher than them, and then you can build into pacing and leading. So some shortcuts for building rapport in the mirror and matching is just little subtle things, like for instance, which direction they're facing, or do they have a hand on their hip? Right? The way they're standing, are they leaning one way? Now you have to be really careful about this not to be too obvious on it. But for instance, like let's say someone's sitting with their legs crossed and I'm sitting next to them or across from them and I want to start building rapport. I play this game in airports. I'll be like, I'm going to build nonverbal rapport with the person way across there until they talk to me. Like I'll like start doing it with body language and then they'll be like, hey, do I know you? I'm like, worked. Anyways, okay. So like, let's say they have one leg like crossed over the other. Well, maybe you just cross ankles. So you're not going to like obviously do the exact same thing that they're doing, right? So just like subtle little things along the way to build rapport, it's called mirroring and matching their body language, their nonverbal communication, or even their verbal communication. Like if they're super high energy, I'm going to be a little more high energy. And we naturally do this. Like this isn't that ninja if you think about it. Like we naturally do this, but the person that is pacing and leading is the leader and the influencer in the conversation. So every conversation, every interaction, one person is leading, and that's based off of you get two people together, they're naturally going to start mirror and matching. Then one person, usually within a couple of seconds, will start pacing and leading the other person. So you could tell even watching people across the room who's the leader of the conversation. So one thing would be like if they pick up and take a sip of water, and then the other person shortly after takes a sip of water, you can see if you're in rapport. Tony Robbins does this. Like he'll stop and take a sip of water or do something, and then you'll just look and see like thousands of people in the crowd, like all of a sudden within the next couple minutes, take a sip of water because they're in rapport, even from a stage situation. So so that's where you can kind of test and see like, are we in rapport? Am I pacing, leading? And all of this is really happening in the tour. Like the way that I taught the tour, the structure is naturally going to build rapport at the beginning. You know, oh my gosh, we know Jim referred you. He's a great patient. We love Jim. What is that doing, guys? That's having the auditory rapport, right? You have something in common. Same thing on the phone call. On a new patient phone call, if there is someone that's, let's say, price shopping, right? But you build rapport in the first couple seconds, they're going to pick you just because they have rapport. When they have rapport, they trust you, right? So that's why I always say, what's your name and how did you hear about us? Because I'm going to build that rapport right at the beginning of the call with their referral source. Isn't that cool? Like these little things that we implement, and then all of a sudden, it's like everything's working. Like all the new patients that call in are coming in, you know, and like everyone we're giving a tour to, they're ready, and the day one is shorter with the doctor. It's because all these little steps are in there. Does that make sense? And it just creates a smoother process for them so we can expedite getting to their health and healing and really being able to serve them. Okay, so let me check our time here. Okay, we're doing good. We're right on schedule. We've got a couple minutes left. So favored representational systems for those 4 categories that we talked about. Can you guys still hear me okay? Yeah, okay, perfect. So the first one is visual. So this is how you're going to identify and pick up what people's primary mode of communication is. If they're primary visual, primary auditory, primary kinesthetic, and then if you want to help influence them and build rapport, you speak their language, like, you know, that term, speak their language, right? By using theirs, not ours, right? And so we'll tend to have better connection with people that use ours because that's the way that we communicate. So for visual, people who favor the visual systems often stand or sit with their heads and their bodies erect with their eyes up. Okay, so who in this call is visual? Who's been here a couple weeks and you're thinking of someone here? I'm thinking of
Maybe
you.
Mariah.
Mariah? I was thinking of Hannah. That's funny. Visual, right? That's awesome. They tend to breathe from the top of their lungs. They often sit forward in their chairs and they are organized, neat, well-groomed, and orderly. They are often, and then in parentheses it says thought, not always, thin and wiry, and they memorize by seeing pictures. Noise usually doesn't distract them. They often have trouble remembering verbal instructions because their minds tend to wander. A visual person will be interested in how things look, your product look, or your service. Appearance are usually very important to them. So this is where like the appearance of your office is important. The appearance of you is important. You know, are you tidy and clean and cold cut? Because for a visual person, they're not going to know why, but your office will just seem like the right place. It'll look like the right place, you know, versus another office because of the visual cues. I can also use visual cues in my language, which I'll hopefully have time to show you guys next. So auditory, people who favor auditory systems may move, so take bullet point notes on these. Who favor auditory systems may move their eyes side to side a lot. They usually breathe from the middle of their chest. They might talk to themselves a lot. Some even just move their lips. They can repeat things back to you easily. They learn by listening and usually like music and talking on the phone. They memorize by steps, procedures, and sequences. The auditory person likes to be told how they are doing and respond to a certain tone of voice or set of words. They will be interested in what you have to say about the product or service. Can you guys tell I'm auditory for sure, like naturally, like steps and sequences, even when we're talking about like body language and rapport, I'm like, here are the steps, like here's the pattern, here are the sequences. Okay, so kinesthetic people, so this is tend to be most chiropractors. People who favor the kinesthetic systems typically breathe from the bottom of their lungs. So you'll see their stomach go up and down when they're breathing. So just watch like where people are breathing, where you see the movement. They often move and talk very slowly. They like physical rewards and touching. Also, they usually stand closer to people. This is why people say a lot of chiropractors are socially awkward, right? Because they tend to stand really close to people. They're just kinesthetic learners. They memorize by doing or walking through something. They will be interested in things, how it feels. Now, this is why they're so gifted, right? Because they memorize how like something feels. So that's how they can give such a good, amazing adjustment. Not all chiropractors, but generally kinesthetic people are attracted to the profession. Then we've got auditory digital. This is our favorite. People who favor auditory digital systems will spend a fair amount of time talking to themselves. They will want to know if your product or service makes sense. A person favoring auditory digital can and most likely will exhibit characteristics of the other major representational systems, as AD is actually a derived representational system. Okay, that's getting kind of techy. This system is also something called unspecified in some learnings. Okay, so your auditory digital is going to use all three. Who got bullet points on each one? Yes. Okay, cool. So the last thing I want to show you is once you've identified, I'm going to show you how to identify what someone's is. Now we have some ways, but also how to actually use the way that they communicate in communication with them. And this is huge rapport building. Like if you don't have a lot of time with someone, you just have those couple minutes that you're putting them in traction or explaining something. And I want to really influence them to actually like do their exercise or their home care. Right? Let's say I'm teaching them how to do their exercise or home care, and it's super important. I know it's an important part of their care. I'm going to tell them with my words that it is, but I can tweak my language just a little bit to influence them in the way that their primary mode is. If I've identified what they are they visual, are they auditory, are they kinesthetic, then I'm going to teach for that. A kinesthetic person, I'm going to be like, does that feel right? You know, when I'm showing them the exercise, like, do you notice how that feels when you go this way? Because I want them to memorize how to do it right. An auditory person, you know, it's going to be a little bit different. And I'll show examples in a minute. A visual person, I'm going to bring them in front of the mirror, you know, to do their exercise. Like, do you see that? You see how that looks? Watch me. So hear the language, watch me, you know. Okay, so visual. Here's some predicate words and predicate phrases for visual. I'm just going to pick a few. So predicate words for visual: see, look, view, appears, it appears so. I might say that with a visual person. Show, dawn, clear, foggy. So with a visual client, let's say, I'd be like, is that clear? You know, kind of thing. Versus like auditory digital, does that make sense? You know, or like an auditory. Okay, so hazy, crystal, picture, you know, picture this. So I might be like, picture this. It's 3 years down the road, you've gotten your correction, you're living a healthier, stronger life. Instead of, you know, imagine, or what would it be like, you know, to picture this, because they're my visual person. So do you see these are so subtle? Like this is diving really deep and getting super technical in nonverbal communication. But those of you that are ready to take this step, it'll make such a big difference and just expedite the process. Okay, cool. So predicate phrases would be like, looks like, makes sense, mental image, mental picture. In my mind's eye, I see this, you know, short-sighted, what else? An eye fool, right? It appears to me that, beyond a shadow of a doubt, right? So these are visual phrases. So when you hear, who's thinking of someone that uses these phrases a lot? If someone comes to mind, they're probably a very visually driven person if they're using these phrases a lot. How do they explain things to you when they tell you a story? So another exercise we would do in like a longer training is we would pick somebody, have them tell a story, and then you would identify what their primary mode of communication is. So auditory, we'll jump through this quickly. Hear, listen, sound, make music, in tune, all ears, rings a bell. Oh, that doesn't ring a bell. Sorry. I'm like, ooh, that person's probably auditory, right? And auditory for phrases would be like clear as a bell, call on, earful. Oh, that was an earful, right? Like I said, well, that would be an auditory person. Loud and clear, keynote speaker. They pay attention to things, power of speech, tattletale. So these are like phrases that they would use. Tongue-tied, tuned in, tuned out. Those are phrases an auditory person would use. Unheard of. Oh my God, that's unheard of. Okay, so kinesthetic, the last one. These are going to be the most obvious for sure. Feel, touch, grasp, hold, catch on, tap into, throw out, turn around, concrete, hard, scrape, get a handle on it. So like, see how these are all like physical things, solid. Oh, that feels solid. So for my kinesthetic person, I might be like, that feels solid to me, or does that feel solid to you? Kinesthetic, all washed up, boiled down to, firm foundation, get a load of this, get in touch with, get the drift, hand in hand, hang in there, hold on, hold it, hold on. So who's like already hearing someone with these phrases? Show of hands. Sharp as a tack, pull some strings, smooth operator, start from scratch, stiff upper lip. Yes. Does anyone feel like we're saying things their chiropractor, someone they know, says? Okay, cool. So the reason why we did this exercise is not to necessarily become like body language reading experts, but to build awareness in yourself and others. So now you have awareness in the way that you're communicating with your body language and just the power of like congruent nods, being open, great eye contact, but also to build awareness to just start identifying with specific patients. How are they communicating, right? An auditory person is maybe in a troubling relationship, is not going to feel heard. You know what I mean? So what if you were like, I hear what you're saying, and da 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 da, like you're going to be able to really help them in their care. Okay, cool. Who learned something? Who learned a boatload of things? Who's excited to use this in real time? Okay, cool. Now it'll be like you can't help but hear it. It might even be annoying when you hear people talk and communicate. You're going to realize like you're going to identify instantly if someone's visual, kinesthetic, or auditory. And then you can just quickly switch and start using their language. Oh, come see, I'm on a new page called Come See for Yourself. We can't wait to see you. So if I've identified that they're visual, isn't this cool? Like such a little shift you can make. And I almost feel like it's a deeper level of customer service to really like serve the person in the way that they communicate, so that they understand and see and hear and feel you at that level. Who identified their own? Raise your hand if you feel like, based off of what you just learned, you feel like you're more visual. Show of hands. Raise your hand if you feel like you're more kinesthetic, more auditory. Interesting. Very cool. Okay, cool. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Next week is the 4th week, I believe, right? So it's implementation week. You're going to go back, watch any rewatches. The week after, we have a surprise guest speaker, which is going to be really exciting. We're going to go over like back-end systems, things to elaborate on communicating with your doctor, what that would look like. I'm also going to release a bonus video next week, so keep an eye out for that. And then I'll hang around for about 5 more minutes for any Q&As that you have about this lesson or anything else, if anybody wants to hang out. If not, thanks for being here today, guys. You're amazing. I know that was very technical, content driven. Okay, questions. Thanks. Any questions? Questions. I know I handled a lot of content. It's like a brief overview of a lot of things. Questions, ladies and gentlemen, any questions, comments? Anyone want to role play anything? Technically the last chance of the month to do so. Yeah, and David, it's just you guys. Anything you want to throw in there? Questions, comments? Nope. Did you like that?
Fun. It was interesting.
It is interesting, right? It's just fun and it builds awareness and for us to really communicate at a deeper level. So I'm excited for people to see the results in that, just feeling more connected with people in their life and like other people feeling more connected with them. Yeah. Deanna, did you want to say something?
Did you say that people can have all 3 of them?
Yeah, like we all use all 3, but
Mhm.
technically each of us will have one primarily.
Okay.
And that's the one that's going to kind of make you feel connected to somebody.
Mm.
So like if I'm really visual and I meet a really visual person or they're actually communicating in a visual way, I might feel more connected to them. You know, an auditory person is going to feel more connected to people with maybe like tones of voices that they like, that are appealing to their ear, you know, like those types of things.
Interesting.
Do you feel like you're all 3? Are you all 3? Kind of, or you feel like
Kinda, yeah. I feel.
Yeah.
Aesthetic and visual, mostly.
Yeah. And that's common too, that people have like 2 that are more primary, you know, depending on like one might be born with, one might be like influences in your life, you know, like if you've kind of learned and like mirror and matched someone in your life that's like super kinesthetic. So like now you're pretty kinesthetic too, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else you guys want to share?
No, not
Okay.
everything.
Sounds good. Well, have fun practicing this, and then keep an eye out for the bonus session next week, and then the following week as well. We're gonna do some cool systems communication stuff.
Nice.
Bye, guys. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for the talk. Have a good
Have a
one.
good day. Bye.
Bye.